Time for another week of picks here on Every Day. We're covering CP and SJ with you once again as we get ready for week 3 of the college football season. SJ, we've had a pretty good run here so far. We're hoping we're going to continue that trend for folks here this week.
Yeah, off to a good start. This week is maybe a little lacking as far as on paper goes, but hey, there's still something in there to be had, some covers to be made, and we're gonna do that right here and now.
Yeah, not as quite as many dunks as I saw last week. I think home run hitters, but we're going to find some in here in the weeds for you. We're going to just go by kick time here for these games. So these are all Saturday picks. 11 o'clock window, of course, is the early window, and I got one there. I'm going to go, even though I'm a little hesitant about this, so it probably won't be the most confident pick out there, but Okie State laying 18.5 at Tulsa. Obviously, Okie State in a dogfight last week to eke one out against Arkansas, but I feel like that offense started to find something, and this is a Tulsa team that hasn't been all that impressive yet here this season. So I think Okie State gets it rolling a little bit here in this week, and they cover that 18.5. Probably not by much, but I'm going to take them to cover in that game. You got any other early ones?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more confident in this one. I'm not alone, and it's not a hard pick, but sometimes you got to just take the easy money when it's there because you're still getting some decent odds here. But Alabama to cover that 15.5 is what I took it at. I think some books have it up to 16 now, but you're still right around even money. Honestly, not too much above when I took it. I think I got it at minus 130 or so. So not bad for a game that many think could go the route style. It is at Wisconsin. It is an early kick, so maybe that would be the only things keeping them within about 20 points or so. Maybe if it was a neutral site, like when they took down LSU at Lambeau a few years back, maybe you could see something. But Alabama has looked pretty strong. Maybe not going to be at the end of the year what they were at the end of last year, but so far so good. And Wisconsin has not looked too great at all, at least from what I've seen of them.
Yeah, interesting game there to watch for sure. I do have another early one, and I know this is one you were peeking at here too. This is for some reason I saw it listed as an 11:45 kickoff. I don't know why that is, but Missouri, Missouri taking on BC. This is at Mizzou. Mizzou laying 16, and I love the Tigers here. I think that BC obviously has played well here early. They're a good hard-nosed kind of team, but this Mizzou team's got an explosive offense, and if they get rolling a little bit, I feel like they cover that, especially late as they rack it up in the game. Maybe you see it differently, but that's where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, respectfully disagree here. Just gonna go the exact opposite. I think they can cover that number. I think Missouri wins, but maybe like a 2-touchdown win, something like that. I think the early kick and the odd kick time on top of that does favor a little bit. Kind of led me to maybe giving them a chance here. And I'm not very confident it's going to be one of those whiskey bets that we do out there. Very, very low coinage placed on this, but I think maybe they can stick within 2 touchdowns on that one. So we'll see how that plays out. We're going to be right either way. So
there you go. We're going odds here. Every once in a while, we got to disagree. That's the way this goes. 2:30 window. Unless you got any other real early ones before that, I don't know if you saw any others before that time frame.
Let's just keep on rolling. Go ahead. I'll just go into what you got next.
Yeah, 2:30 window when I was peeking at here, and I'm not also super confident on this game, but I like A&M laying 3.5 at Florida. I think A&M is the better football team. Neither one of them have been overwhelmingly impressive here so far. Obviously, that Notre Dame A&M game threw us off a little bit early in the season, but I still feel like that Notre Dame loss was to a good Northern Illinois team. I think people are poo-pooing that a little bit more than they should, and A&M still has a chance to have a strong season. Florida's still figuring it out. I think they've got something going with their new quarterback there on offense, but I like A&M to win that game and cover.
This is a 2:30 kick as well here. Tulane in Oklahoma. Obviously, Tulane could very easily be 2-0 after last week. Maybe a couple questionable calls in the end, but they also, gave a couple turnovers at key times that cost them. So they got to look in the mirror a little bit as well. But as far as my pick, what I'm going on, I'm looking at that total. 47.5 is where I played it at. Obviously, Oklahoma's been last week, notwithstanding. Been known to put up some points, especially in the non-con, and Tulane's got a pretty solid offense on their side. So, I mean, you're looking at a 28-24 game, and we're looking pretty good there. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and play that total and hopefully get the overs on that one.
All right. Another one I was peeking at kind of mid-afternoon, 3:30 kickoff. This is obviously an in-state game, but not one of the ones that you always think of as being a rivalry, so to speak, not at least in our part of the country. I'm sure there they think differently, but Utah is at Utah State. I know Cam Rising is hurt, so it's likely he's not going to play in this game, but I think Utah rolls here still in this one over Utah State. They're laying 18.5, so it is a big number to cover, but I just feel like there's a lot of good firepower here. Utah State has not been impressive yet here this season. I think they're struggling a bit, so I'm going to go Utah to, overcome that lost quarterback situation and get it done and cover the 18.5.
Trying to keep track here. I do believe all of my last picks are night games, so I'm just going to go ahead and roll to the next one on my list here. I'm going to go with the Civil War, I believe. Oh, no, we're at 2:30 kick still on that, even on the West Coast. So Oregon State. I actually do like Oregon State. Again, 16.5. That number must be speaking to me this week with the previous Boston College pick. But Oregon, we talked in depth about Oregon's just struggles, and they're 2-0. So we're not saying that anything too crazy that we're kind of burying them before the season's even midway through, but at the same time they're not covering the number, and that's what we're worried about here is covering, right? So I don't think they will cover that, and I would not be overly surprised if there is an upset here in this game. I'm not going to call it, I'm not going to make that pick, but I think Oregon State will stay within that, and I even see like a 1-score game here going down to the wire.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And of course, the good old Pac-12 after dark, the Undertaker rising from the depths. The Pac-12 we've heard now is going to be a thing again. They're grabbing some teams out of the Mountain West. So what better time to go out and prove that you're going to be making some noise in your new conference? And of course, they're pissed off that everybody left them anyways. So there's extra motivation for the Beavers here. I think that's a good pick. They're going to be ready to play.
Yeah, a lot of jokes have been made, but I do like that they kind of stuck regional still and did get, it's still a Pacific type conference. Obviously, they don't have the names they had before, but still it's a regional deal. And, those after dark games, we love them. And I'm excited to see, kind of going forward, we can get some of those late kickoffs and keep us up all night. It's what we look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that I saw here that is a 6:00 kickoff. Vandy at Georgia State. Why they're playing at Georgia State, I don't know, but they're Vanderbilt. They kind of got to do some more things than most SEC teams do to get some attention. But they played well early this season, and they're only a 10.5-point favorite. I like them. I like them to roll here in this game. I'm going to take Vandy laying the 10.5.
Okay, so we've been looking at some big numbers and kind of trying to maybe get a trend here going. And this week, actually, and this, partly to do with how they've played out, but this is partly to do where these are bigger numbers. But I like the teams to cover. So Georgia is a 24-point favorite against Kentucky. Crazy. I know it's Kentucky, but still a conference game to be that big of a favorite. But you look last week and freaking Kentucky just got freaking mollywopped, 31-6 to South Carolina, and I can imagine Georgia's going to bring a little bit more thunder than South Carolina did. So this could get a little ugly. And then also Auburn. I know that was a tough loss last week against Cal, but coming against New Mexico, who's 0-2 with one of those losses to Montana State. And then the other one, friggin' Arizona put 61 spot on them. So I like both of these teams to cover. It's not a parlay. Feel free to do that if you'd like, because I'm pretty confident in both of these covering. So that might be an option for you there as well. But Georgia 24 and then Auburn getting 28. I do like both those teams to cover.
All right. Yeah. Another big number one that I kind of was peeking at a little bit that I do kind of like is Texas laying 35.5 against UTSA. Texas obviously has looked phenomenal so far. UTSA, far cry from what they've been the last couple of years. So I would look at that ball game as well. And then as far as over-under games go, I just wanted to mention a couple. I don't know that these are, like huge plays, but West Virginia at Pitt was a 63.5 for the total, and that just seems absurd for me for those two teams. I don't know that they've played those types of games very often, usually kind of a knockdown drag out type of game, so I'm going to go under on that game.
Yeah, if you said 6-3, I'd probably believe that more than 63, but who knows, maybe there's something cooking there we don't know about.
The Vegas knows something apparently, but I'm still going under. And then piggybacking on your Georgia game, Georgia Kentucky, I like the overs in that game, even if it's just Georgia doing it themselves. Maybe 45.5 is the number, so I think that they get there easily. Kentucky probably at least scores once, so give that a flyer for sure, I think.
Yeah, one more kind of enormous spread that I did see was Tennessee 49-point favorite over Kent State. With the way they've looked, these, I mean, winning by 60 points and then 40 points against NC State last week. If you're feeling kind of crazy, maybe take a leap on that. I really wanted to take that as a big number for to cover, but I just couldn't do it with the way Tennessee's looked. And I mean, we love the MAC, but I don't know about Kent State covering this week.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, and that is a big number on the other side too. So yeah, it's kind of hard to go one way or the other on that one. But that's what we've got here for week number 3. Obviously, if you would like to shout at us with some of your picks, we would love that. If you find us on Twitter, you can see the handles there at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets. And then, of course, we'll pump these picks out for you each week here on this YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, and share. And then also, we'd appreciate if you, of course, listen and share the podcast, available on all major platforms, including our host home there at Spotify. Search Every Day We're Covering wherever you get your podcast, and you'll be able to track it down. So we hope for some another week of good picks here for you, and we hope you have some fun watching some football and probably having a couple beverages along the way. It sounds like it's going to be a beautiful weekend for it. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another week of picks here on Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time around for some more covers.